This
Miami
conference
Food.
will now be recorded.
Where did you post it?
In the chat.
Oh,
Hi, Kathy.
I made it. Yes.
Yay.
I will have to excuse myself in a little bit for just like 5 minutes, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
So the question that Claire just asked was, where do you guys, where could we get good fruit? And it's an interesting question because today is time for you guys to share some new recipes and some new shopping ideas. So I think, Claire, that question is so appropriate right now because it is a struggle. Our grocery stores, let me start by saying, when I was a little kid in New York, you didn't go to a grocery store. You went to the butcher, you went to the fish store, you went to the produce market. Or your grandparents, my grandparents grew things in the backyard, peppers and tomatoes and cucumbers. So the concept of these huge grocery stores is quite the modern concept. And in some ways we think, wow, that's fantastic. It's, I can just go in one place and get anything I want. But what happens is that we get things from all over the world, which is fun, right? We don't grow kiwis here in the United States, so it's fun to be able to get kiwis from down under. But the problem is that they cannot possibly be picked when they're ripe. And this is a struggle. Give me 1 second, you guys. I have a dog issue. Could you not do that? Thank you. So the problem is that if you don't pick it ripe, it doesn't really get ripe. The only fruit that we know of scientifically that will ripen appropriately off the plant is a banana. Otherwise, that beautiful pineapple that Kathy has on her wall is probably what a pineapple should look like right before you take it off the plant, right? It's golden and still has a little bit of its brown undertones, and you would look and say, this is ripe. You would smell it and know it was ripe. And so things are coming off of trees way before they're ripe. I'll never forget going to a local grocery store, the most common store we have here. They're everywhere. And there were peaches displayed. And they looked beautiful. And the sign said, tree ripened peaches. And I picked up the peach, and it was about as hard as this bowl. And I'm thinking, where's the poor tree that thought it ripened that thing? It's not tree ripened. It's pulled from its mother way before it was time to be weaned. So that is the challenge. Even here in my backyard, the struggle is who's going to get it first, me or the squirrel? And so I've taken some mangoes off the tree that were not ripe yet. Do they still taste better than the ones at the store? Yeah, because I didn't take it so early. But it is, it is a struggle. So you got to give some up to the critters. So getting good fruit, I think honestly starts locally. Finding in your area what is grown locally and who the local farmers are. That's probably tough if you're in Brooklyn. But in many places, it's not too far of a drive to a rural area. Kathy and Veronique and I are very lucky to have a lady who is with our coconut milk lady. And last week she came and she said, I have something for you. And in her car was a pot with a stick of a mulberry tree sticking out of it.
Ah!
And she said, it's like every time I say something, egg fruit. And she's like, egg fruit. And then the next week she comes back with egg fruit. And then I said mulberry tree. So now she's not just the coconut lady. She's the lady who can get you stuff.
Did you plant it?
coming over, by the way, when I have to run out and get my goodies. That's just coming over.
Bring her in for a minute.
Yeah, okay. I'll see if she wants to come in and say hello.
What is it, Kathy? I didn't understand what you said.
Laura's coming over now. She said between 6 and 6:30.
Ah, cool.
Coconut
Bring her
water
in.
and sugarcane juice, among
Nice.
others. Yeah.
So you guys want to really start to investigate some little, produce markets or some small markets. And again, where you guys live, I don't know how things are, but some little produce markets, some, find some produce stands. As we move into, at least for Europe and the United States, I know it's different right now in Australia and New Zealand, you guys are moving into winter, we're moving into summer. So as you move into summer, a lot of times there are local farmers markets that set up. We actually have one that sets up in the hospital parking lot. How appropriate. Before they get into the hospital, feel good, But start to really research. Jessica, you're in California right now? Yeah. So, start to research places that have local produce. But it is quite the challenge. Tell me a little bit from you guys where you find your produce right now. Who wants to go first?
Well, I live out east on Long Island, so now it's just starting the season. So, but it's
Are you back in New York, Claire?
yeah.
Ah,
So, at the end of the summer, we get great peaches, everything is great. And the melons are great, but like right now,
Yeah.
and I love papaya. I've had them in Mexico once, and they're just not the same here.
I guess it depends also on the papaya, but right back to the situation, Claire, even when you were here in Florida not too long ago, the papaya at the store, you buy them, they're not ripe.
No. And they get old. They get old before you can eat them.
They get old before they'll ever get ripe. They're not sweet. Veronique just tasted one of my papaya. It's literally, right, Veronique's got like a flowery taste to it. It's pretty
it
amazing.
actually smells like something.
Yeah.
Like the ones you buy in the stores are tasteless. Like I have to put lime on them, like to make them taste like something.
You know what was interesting? Right before I left, with the shutdown and everything, there was, I forget what, it was a man who was making local deliveries for farm. I'm going to say he was an air conditioner guy. I don't know. No, something with wine. He owned a wine shop, but he was going to make local deliveries of the local farmers. And I looked on the list, and there was some really interesting fruit that I never heard of. And like, where do you find that?
And that's what you want to do in your area. Start to search out those people, those little markets, those little, stands that go up. Excuse me, guys. I'm talking all day. But those stands that go up as it goes into summer, and find out, where they are. Talk to other people. Find other goofy hippies like we are, and find out where they go. The whole point of, go ahead, Claire.
I know my cousin just told me like a half an hour from here, there's like a market that sells, like from South American countries. So she told me to go look there.
Yeah. Try to find unusual things. Again, I can't guarantee how ripe they're going to be versus picked early. But you want to search, Chinese markets, Asian markets, a lot of times will have some unusual things. You want to start to bring in, as you're delving deeper into your detox and you're getting bored or frustrated, you want to start to delve into new flavors or new combinations of flavors. Just adding, listen, if you can't grow stuff in your house, you can at least grow some fresh basils, some fresh oregano, some fresh parsley. When you grow it fresh, it's amazing the difference in how it makes your tomatoes feel. So if you take those tomatoes and you chop them up and you add some basil and some honey and maybe a splash of either some sort of vinegar or lemon, and then add in some sun-dried tomatoes. That's been my theme the last week or two, right? To find some good sun-dried tomatoes. And if you can't find good,
I have a great address, you guys. You have to order them online, but they have no salt, no sulfites. They are prepared in California. I'm going to write you the link.
Okay.
will they ship anywhere that you know of, Veronique?
You mean in the States? I believe so. I was
Well-
going to call them today. I didn't get the chance, but I'm going to call them this week. I can put you the link. You can call them if you like.
And let's see if they'll ship to Europe. I mean, I'd love if that's possible.
Oh, to Europe.
Celine and Ellie.
I think I'm gonna dehydrate my tomatoes.
Well, and that was the other thing I was going to say. Either get a dehydrator or you can put them in your oven, parchment paper on top of a rack. Don't necessarily put them on a cookie sheet. Parchment paper on top of, directly on the rack. Lowest heat you can set it on. And then crack the door open. Because when you do that, you'll allow the steam to come out so it won't just turn into mushy tomatoes. They'll start to dehydrate, and it's going to take some time. But you can even buy an inexpensive dehydrator at Walmart or any kind of one of those big box stores. 25, 30 bucks, and you can buy an inexpensive dehydrator. These are the flavors that start to make your food interesting when you're at that point of getting bored. Adding in, if you want, you can roast some garlic, right? Sometimes raw garlic is very pungent, and people know you've eaten it. But sometimes if you roast garlic, so just take that whole head of garlic in the oven, or they have these little clay pots to put it in, and roast it. You can roast your other spices and seasonings too. You can roast ginger and then grate that up and add that to your dish. You want to start to, like I said, add in things that are very, very strong in flavor. And when you roast them, it calms it down and it gives it a more earthy, more cooked feeling. So you can take that roasted garlic and maybe put it in with a raw meal, whether it's putting it in with a tomato salad, or maybe take that roasted garlic, roasted ginger, and then cut it up really small. Put it in a cauliflower rice dish, right? So have that raw. Those of you who are moving into summer, have that raw. Those of you moving into winter, you might want to heat it a little bit. But now you add in some frozen peas you can defrost in just a few minutes. You can add in some pre-cut matchstick carrots. Any of your sprouts, whether they're bean sprouts or sunflower sprouts or alfalfa sprouts, can go in there. Broccoli slaw or tiny little pieces of broccoli can go in there. Maybe some greens, maybe some baby spinach in there. And so now you can make a sauce with your roasted garlic, your roasted ginger, and then add maybe some fresh squeezed orange juice, maybe some lime juice if you want in there, and some fresh scallions, and a little bit of honey. And now you've made a nice dressing to put on this cauliflower rice dish that's got all these other veggies in it. Peppers you can add into that. So getting some flavor and texture going, some cooked with some raw together, can keep you going.
I love
Does
the
anyone-
combination of orange juice with coconut aminos, garlic. That makes like an kind of an Asian style, and it's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah. I would recommend like really try to make it fun by experimenting. And sometimes it's not always as good as we think it would be, but you know, that's a way also for you to see what your taste buds are actually craving and what you could like. That's how I discovered orange juice in my dressings, because one day I didn't want to put oil and I was like, I cannot put oil, I have to find something else, but I wanted my salad to be really juicy. So I put like half an orange with the coconut aminos, some garlic, everything blended, and it was really delicious.
Also, sometimes just mixing together a lot of herbs. I don't know if you remember, if you knew, I just lost her name, who was a massage therapist at my office years ago, short hair.
Jen.
Jen, yes. So she made this green sauce, and she would just mix together basil and cilantro and some scallions and some different things, and maybe, I don't know if she used lime juice or what juice she used, and just blended it up. So start to get together those herbs and spices, those things that you don't usually grab. They're shaped like carrots. They taste sort of like a radish daikon. You know, that's another nice thing that you can chop up and mix in with your salads. In Chinese medicine, they encourage you to have all the different flavors in that dish, in that meal. So sweet, salty, we can't do too much salty, sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and pungent, right? So bitter, for me, the first thing that comes to my mind, being Italian, is broccoli rabe. Broccoli rapini has got a bitter taste.
I love that. Oh
Do
my
you love
God. I love broccoli rapini. So good.
I've done the broccoli rabe with garlic with zucchini noodles.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
But I add a tiny bit of oil. I gotta have the
So,
flavor.
you know what I found? So here's another thing, you guys, when you're talking about changing things up. What I found is, whether it's raw, whether it's steamed, or whether it's, I'll use the word browned, and in certain aspects roasted, right? So let's start with the broccoli rabe. So back in the day when I was first detoxing, and I love broccoli rabe, and you know, Claire, you got to do it with olive oil and garlic. That's what my mother always said. You don't know how to make something, olive oil and garlic, you're good to go. But now I've got to do it without that. And so I had a nonstick wok. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it in there. Put a little water, got my garlic going. Then I added my broccoli rabe, got that going, got distracted. And when I came back, it was a little bit
Mushy.
it was mushy but browned because
Sticky
certain
brown.
areas, yeah. I have to tell you, my husband loves it. It was delicious. It gave it that smoky flavor, right? So his latest kick is the roasted red pepper dressing, because there's such a difference in flavor between a raw bell pepper and a roasted one. So I've roasted a bunch of raw bell peppers, red bell peppers. And then once they're roasted, they cool, the skin steams off. So you gotta get that skin black, and then you can pull it off, pull out the seeds. And then in the blender with some honey, a splash of vinegar or lemon, a little bit of garlic if you want, or roasted garlic or garlic powder. And what else? What else? Yeah, and that's it. But oh, then if you want it thicker, then you put a half an avocado in it. So you've got this thick dressing. Now you can take that, put that over your cauliflower rice. You can use that on your salad. You can use that on your zucchini noodles. So you can really change it up quite a bit and change the texture of what you're putting with it. Just bringing those flavors up. So I noticed it with both the broccoli rabe and with the, what did I just say? And with the peppers. One other thing, and then I want you guys to chime in some ideas. One other thing that changes the flavor of a food in terms of roasting is eggplant. So if you take that eggplant, let's say you want to make baba ganoush, right? And baba ganoush, I know it comes with tahini, and we're not doing tahini, but you take that eggplant, you put it in the oven, and you roast it. That means that you cook it on a high temperature, and then as it's getting softer, you change it to broil, and you put it relatively close to that top, if you've got gas oven, then the top gas, otherwise electric, and you turn, the skin is already black, so you've got to pay attention to it, but you want to really turn that skin black to where it's going to start to almost fall apart. And that's going to change the flavor of your eggplant significantly. So now, of course, you don't have tahini to put in it, but you can do avocado. And then you can do your spices. Again, if you think about baba ganoush, what's in it? There's parsley, there's lemon, there is cumin, you know. So you get all your spices, all your seasonings that would be in that. It just doesn't have the tahini, but it's delicious. And now you can take that and you can eat that in so many ways. You can use that on top of vegetables. You can use that on top of salad. You can wrap that up in a collard green leaf with other vegetables, more avocado, greens, things like that. So I want you guys to get creative, or keep it simple, I don't mind. But if you're bored, yeah.
You don't need oil to, because I have an eggplant, but I was like, do I need the oil to baste it? No.
No, you don't. You really.
So I think I mentioned this before, but I make this beet burger with carrots and beets. But the recipe called for chickpeas and tahini. So I substituted a purple potato.
Okay.
And then yesterday I did edamame. I don't know. Can we use edamame? I don't know. But I was looking, what can I replace, like, to keep it, and then
Leather.
yeah, to keep it like a, like, something to. And then what was really good about this recipe was it uses smoked paprika.
Paprika, yes.
Smoked paprika gave it the, like, it almost gave it a burger taste, so between the beets and the, but I just was like, is there something better I can use than a potato?
Yes, you can use tapioca. I believe tapioca is just a root, so it's tapioca.
Like a flour?
It's I don't know if it's flour, it's tapioca starch.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
there's something, and I think, let me see what it's made out of. Give me a second and see if I can pull this up for you guys. But there is something called energy.
What? I didn't hear that.
Hold on, it's probably slow down. Yeah, this is slow down. Okay. Never mind. I'm going to look it up on my phone. It's called Energy, and it is an egg replacement. And, well, it's hard to show you guys. This is what it looks like. So that's the box. And it is made out of, it's only got 5 milligrams of sodium. It's probably naturally occurring. Okay, so that's a combination. It's got potato starch, tapioca.
Oh, what about potato starch? I have that, potato starch.
You know, as long as you don't use it a lot, because you know that's going to kind of bind things in you as well as the burger. But you know, I think you could probably get away with a little of it. Again, to make something different when you're just feeling bored. I think it's a good idea. Who else has some ideas, some things that they've been playing with or trying, or things that you're missing that you need us to help you come up with? Go ahead, Jess.
I mean, for today, I just put a bunch of like vegetables into a crock pot. So I did cauliflower, mushrooms, peppers, onions, and carrots, and I put like a taco blend, like a homemade taco seasoning on it. And I'm gonna do a lettuce wrap with cut up avocado and tomatoes on top and scallions. So that's an idea.
And what time should we be over?
Well, your time's different than mine, so it'll be pretty late.
That sounds awesome. I love it. I love it. And so in that challenge where people say, but wait a second, isn't a raw diet the best diet to detox us as quickly as possible? And the answer is, of course it is, except when a raw diet makes you go, I can't take it anymore, the heck with this, and you go for the cheeseburger. So then a raw diet is absolutely useless. So keeping that allowance of some cooked vegetables to get you through, especially those of you who are going into cold weather right now, you know, to keep you going in this process is really, really important. I wanted to also mention when Claire was talking about at the end of the summer, you'll get a lot of these great peaches and things like that. Buy them up and wash them, clean them, dry them, cut them, put them on a cookie sheet, freeze them, and then take them off the cookie sheet, the parchment paper, and then put them in bags or containers and save them for smoothies through your fall and your winter. Because at least then you'll have that fresh flavor. They'll be frozen. You got to, you know, what do you call it, thaw them out. But at least they'll have that fresh flavor of those, you know, fresh peaches.
I have another thing that I do, shiitake bacon. And so, but I know that when I used to make it, I'd have to toss it with olive oil. So I don't know how it's going to come out without.
You're just going to toss it with water. It is still going to come out very, very similar. You know, we're used to that oil, right? We're used to putting oil on everything. My goodness. I wish I either invented Velcro. What was the other thing I wanted to invent? Bottled water or olive oil. I might be on a yacht somewhere, I guess.
Claire, my mother does that with the mushrooms, and she loves coconut aminos. So she uses water and coconut aminos, and she rants and raves about it. So if you like,
and the smoked paprika.
okay, so you might be onto something.
So
That's
I make like a lettuce wrap, and I put like I chop up tomato, like little onions, a lot of cilantro, avocado, the shiitake bacon, and then I make a wrap. It's really good, but it's not very filling.
So have 3 of them.
Well, I do.
And so I know we talked about that last week, and I'll just bring it up again. You know, sometimes there's something else that we're missing when that hunger just won't abate. And that's time to really sit and go inside and see what is missing, what is keeping us from being full and fulfilled. So we'll talk about that later. Claire. I haven't heard yet from Celine and from Jessica down under. Do you guys have any food ideas, food challenges?
Yeah, for me, I just miss my crunchy, salty things. So yeah, I'm kind of like edging on phase 3 now, so I'm not very experimental. I'm just super basic. But when I'm really desperate, I've got a dehydrator. I was dehydrating a lot. I was making corn chips just out of raw corn. And they are surprisingly salty. Like they get so crunchy. I feel like I'm having a chip. It was like I nearly cried the first time I had them. So I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna be able to get through this. I feel like a normal person eating a chip. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
What else? Oh yeah, when I was really feeling like I needed something, I had like dehydrated cauliflower, like in tiny little pieces, and it's kind of like a buffalo cauliflower almost. And I can't really have nutritional yeast, but I believe you can have it on the detox, but it makes me a bit funny.
Yeah, most people can, but some people are reactive to it.
Yeah, so that I was having nutritional yeast and sun-dried tomato and paprika all blended up, and it was, I think it's like one of the tastiest things I've ever had, just in general, not on detox. So that was amazing. When I'm really also just like missing bread and stuff, not that I ever really ate much, but a really amazing kind of substitute. And I would only have this quite sporadically, but sweet potatoes, so cooked and then all mashed up, and then added a little bit of banana flour, like green banana flour, and then I would press them down into like chapatis, like Indian like naan bread, and press them down and fry them, and it just tasted like, and you don't need any oil, nothing to fry them. So yeah, that really felt like you're eating bread. So I'd have that with like a salad if I was having a really bad day, and just, yeah, and like, I don't know, dehydrated zucchini and sun-dried tomato in like blended up into like a raw pizza base. I just had to make things that really felt like they were real food. Yeah.
Real food, things that you remember and familiar with and that you eat all the time or have eaten all the time. And then again, things with really substantial flavor, you know, and that's where getting back into the fresh fruit in your area or fresh salad in your area. I mean, there's nothing better. And I had a garden some years ago before I got sick, and then I got lazy, but I had a fresh garden. So I would grow lettuce and collard green leaves and peppers and even eggplant. And there's nothing better than fresh lettuce, as long as you don't let it grow too long, it'll get super bitter. But fresh lettuce is so amazing. The flavor is so different. So, you know, again, finding that local farmer's market who can bring you something that is not, you know, hasn't traveled from, you know, Russia to get to you. Those of you who are a little closer to Russia, but still, it's, you know, a ways. So yeah, bringing up those flavors, really, really important. Celine, have you played with any flavors, any recipes?
I'm the same as Jessica, because I'm also trying to go more into phase 3 at the moment. So I'm trying to keep it more simple. But yeah, I try to like tonight I had like tomato salad with like some fresh basil and mint, and just like some avocado and a bit of apple cider vinegar and some maple syrup. Which was really good. Last week I made like some zucchini noodles with a recipe that I found. It was like veggie balls, but like made from mushrooms and like nutritional yeast. But same, like I had to adapt the recipe, like I had to remove the tahini from the recipe, and so they tasted a bit funny. But yeah, it was still good. And just, yes, some large salads and yeah.
Yeah, and taking recipes that you find and just, you know, tweaking them so that they can be detox friendly. Again, oftentimes it's the seasonings. And I'm going to have you guys mute because I'm hearing background. I don't know if you guys are. But it's the seasonings that really bring about the flavor. So whatever little things you have to take out, that's okay. You know, things that are not detox friendly. Hold on, let me adjust this. There we go. I think that's better. You know, things that are not necessarily detox friendly, remove them, and then, you know, try to make the recipe, you know, with just what is allowed on detox. How are you guys? It sounds to me like you're, which would make sense. It sounds to me like you struggle more with the savory food than the sweet. Is everyone kind of over the sweet? Veronique, you are? Kathy, you are?
Well, sometimes I am, and you know, it's I really enjoy having savories in the evening. It's just really hard for me to have fruits 24/7,
Yeah.
and I like to have that balance. And in terms of simplicity, I just wanted to share with you guys last night. It's like I bought a bunch of asparagus. I steamed them, and I put a little bit. After steaming them, I lay them in a plate. I put coconut aminos on that and nutritional yeast, and it was amazing. And then I had carrot soup after that, and that was my dinner. And it was really good. I mean, the asparagus, I was like, oh my God, this is so simple.
Yeah.
And so tasty. Talking about taste, like the nutritional yeast was like almost tasting like Parmesan cheese, like, you know. And the
That's a lot coming from a French lady.
yes. And I wanted to share with you, I bought the amino acids from Bragg's, the brand, the organic brand, and it tastes so good. I find it more flavorful than
It is. We just have to watch because it is a
those
large
salt.
amount of salt in it.
Does it
And
have a lot of salt? Yeah,
yeah,
maybe that's
I
why.
think it's more. I mean, the coconut aminos are kind of pushing the envelope a bit.
No, but this is coconut aminos too. Let me go check the bottle. Hang on. It's new. I haven't seen it in.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So are you guys good with fruit throughout the day? And then it is the nighttime the part for you guys where it gets, oh, look at that. I didn't know they made them.
Me neither. I think it's new because I never saw it before. So let me look at the amount. Oh, it has like 8% of sodium.
So it's a lot, but you could,
Yeah, you can dilute it.
Yeah, maybe in a
Right.
spray bottle. with
Yeah,
some
because
water.
they're adding sea salt to it. That's why.
Oh, they did add salt to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyhow, yeah. So the asparagus, once in a while, I like to do that because it's easy to cook. If you don't have time, you know, for those of you, I was talking to a patient earlier. She started working again today, 2 weeks ago. So she does not have much time to prep food. So I was sharing that with her. You know, you have things like that. You can prepare it the night before and refrigerate it and then take it to work afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing, when you guys were talking about where to get good produce, I'm getting a box now I think it's every 2 weeks, called Misfit Produce. And I don't know if they're all over the country or if they're all over the world, I'm not sure. But
How is it, Roseanne?
it's Misfit.
No,
And,
how is it? Like, do you like it?
oh, so the first time I got the box, I was excited and I liked it. The second time I liked it, but they added they gave me more onions, and they had given me onions the week before or the 2 weeks before. They're beautiful onions. They're this big. They're organic. Everything is organic. It's $65 worth of food for $35. And they call it Misfit because it doesn't look like the exact fruit or vegetable that should be in the store. If you notice when you go to your grocery store, and again, I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, but when you go to your grocery store here, everything needs to look the same. You know, the squash have to be the same, and the apples in the same shape. So this, I mean, much of it looks wonderful and beautiful and normal, and some of it looks a little misshapen, no big deal. So that second box had more onions, and I hadn't used the first onion. So, don't know where that is. And so this time, and last time they gave me beets. So I'm like, okay, I like beets, but I've got to cook beets, you know, to put them, you know, the way my mom used to. She would cook them and then pickle them and whatever. So this time, you can spiralize beets, that'll work. But I decided to just make a juice. They sent celery, they sent, what is that called? Kale, dragon kale, dinosaur kale. And the beets and white beets. Are there white beets or was it something else? I don't know what it was. They seem like beets. What is it? No, they weren't turnip because they still had almost that same darkness on the outside, but the inside was white. So, oh, and they sent a bunch of apples. So I made 3 big bottles of juice from this. It was fantastic. Nice. So again, taking things maybe that you're not used to getting when you go to the grocery store and say, I'm just going to grab this and try it. Let me see what I can make with it. Anyone else?
Jessica is asking, did you say earlier that we can have sprouts? And she's asking all sprouts. What kind of sprouts?
Yeah, definitely. So my ultimate favorite sprouts are sunflower sprouts. I don't know why, but when I was first doing my detox, I was able to get them. So if you guys read in the book, the person I talk about, Raul, who owns owned Greenwave Cafe, he also had a big case where he would sell different kinds of sprouts and veggies and whatever. And so I would buy a pound of sprouts. And I found, again, with my thyroid being so hyper, that if I ate sprouts with avocado and maybe a tomato cut up in it, it really satisfied me. So sunflower sprouts are my favorite, but you can do, you know, the classic bean sprout that you get in Asian cooking, alfalfa sprouts, there's broccoli sprouts out there, there's radish sprouts. So you can get these sprouts that have different flavors of the food, but they're just babies. And you can sprout yourself too. Mung bean sprouts, absolutely.
That's what I was going to ask you. So can we do, because it gets confusing, because we are saying during detox we can have beans, but can we sprout the beans?
Yes, but you don't eat the bean, you only eat the sprout.
Sprout, okay.
And what about mung bean sprouts? Jessica wants to know.
Mung bean, but yes, only if you eat the sprouts. You're not eating the bean. So you're not eating the sprouted bean.
Okay.
Just the sprout.
Okay, okay. So same thing for the sunflower seeds.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. When you eat sunnies, they're called sunnies. Yeah. Oh, Laura brings them. Right. And they'll be in a plastic bag. And a lot of times at the bottom of the bag, you'll find
the little black
shells. Yeah, where they've sprouted and, you know.
Okay,
so
okay.
There's no nut or bean left. It's just the sprout.
Okay. Oh, I'm so glad we're clarifying that, because a lot of people get confused with that.
Yeah. And so I know, Claire, just now you were asking about why not beans. No. Yeah. So the reason why beans are not part of this diet is twofold. Number one, they're a super high protein food. And it is the protein that starts to break down kidney function. And remember, all of this cellular metabolic waste has to drain out through the kidneys, number one, through the colon and the skin. Number two, they are also extremely starchy, right? A bean is almost a perfect balance of protein and starch. That starch, again, will congest the body. I mean, think about what we were just asking. We're asking what to use to stick together a vegetable burger. What do we use? We use starch. Starch sticks together the veggies. Guess what? What it does out here, it does in here. So again, if you're detoxing and you're detoxing a long time and you just gotta have something, you make your veggie burger and you use some potato starch. Tapioca, I think, is better because I think tapioca is a root. But when you do that, not that potatoes are the root, they are. When you do that, whatever it does out here, it's going to do in there. And so you're going to notice thirst, maybe bloating. You're going to notice maybe a sluggish bowel. Maybe not the first one you have or the second one. Maybe not the first day, but maybe the second or third day. So the more of that you have, the more you want to understand it's slowing things down. And again, we want you guys to be able to do detox for the length of time that your individual body needs. And so if that means a cooked meal now and then and some potato starch here and there and an edamame here and there, that's one thing. But consistently being on your high fruit, those of you who are getting ready to go into phase 3, awesome. Keep in mind on phase 3 that tomatoes, cucumbers, avocado, what am I missing? Peppers, zucchini, they're still considered a fruit. So if it's nighttime and you're going, oh my gosh, I can't have another orange juice or, you know, banana or whatever. Veronique's going, I'll never get tired of orange juice. Kathy's going,
me. No, it's me. I love my tomatoes, avocados, and that's those are my saviors.
So
Roseanne,
you can do that. Yes.
Claire wants to know about edamame.
Yeah. So classically, Dr. Morse used to say that you keep all beans out except for green beans. And that was taken in several different ways. Do you mean green beans that are, you know, string beans? Or do you mean beans that are green? So that would cover lima beans too, right? And edamame. I think he really just meant green beans. Green beans are one of those that we're willing to eat raw, whereas edamame you're not going to eat raw. And again, you see when you try to eat it raw just how starchy it is. Is it the worst thing in the world you could do when you're on detox if you just need a little break and want to do something a bit different? It's not the worst thing in the world. I'd rather you do that than kidney beans or chickpeas or whatever. Other questions? We got just a couple more minutes. I want to be in my jammies. Next, let's do a pajama party next week. Everyone has to be in their pajamas.
Sounds like fun.
It does.
I love that idea.
Jess, are you typing something?
And Roseanne, what about the pepper we use in the lemonade fast? Right, sometimes people really like it, but I believe that we don't advise people to use too much of it.
Yeah, in the lemonade fast, it's used in a tiny little pinch. And it's used because oftentimes once you get to that point of lemonade fast, maybe you've been doing your fruit for a long time and now you're getting into, you know, a little bit deeper work, you can get really cold. And so one of the main components and reasons for the pepper is to keep the body warm. And a plant was carried by Portuguese and Spanish colonies
I posted the tapioca.
Oh, the tapioca, thank you.
It comes from the cassava plant.
Oh, it is from cassava, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's where it came from. Thank you for that, Bernie.
You're welcome.
So again, it's about you guys thinking about flavor, texture, fresh herbs, roasted garlic or onions, and sun-dried tomatoes. All of those things really bring some flavor and some excitement. One of the other last things I want to mention is there's the recipe on the forum called Moroccan stew. And that's a recipe I had gotten. It was not a detox recipe. I tweaked it into detox. What was interesting about that is I had to go and buy the seasonings that they have in that recipe. I never used cardamom before. I forget some of the others.
So good.
And,
I love cardamom.
oh my gosh, I've never used it. I'm Italian. It's basil, garlic, oregano, parsley, you're done, I mean, we even have a parsley named Italian parsley, for goodness sakes. But bringing in those spices that I had never used before really was a game changer in terms of keeping my interest. So think about that. I mean, you may want to go out on the internet and say, what are the spices used in Thai cooking? What are the spices used in Portuguese cooking? What's used in the Philippines? And, start to play with those things. I think it's a really good way to keep your interest. And then play with it with raw, as well as a little bit of cooked. And for those of you guys going into phase 3, I'm really, really excited for you. It's good stuff. Okay. Yes, Jess, one more question. Jessica H.
What spices are restricted on during the detox? Because I know we're not supposed to have things that are super spicy or anything like that. So are there certain spices that we're not allowed to have?
Just anything that is hot, and I'll put it this way, anything that makes your nose run.
Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Moore says it's a stimulant and it could be a little bit too strong. So, yeah. And honestly, he's not a tremendous fan of garlic. And I have noticed how garlic can really run through your system and out of your skin very easily. So he's not a tremendous fan of garlic. There are some people, I've had patients who are deathly allergic to garlic.
What is the reason for him saying he's not a big fan of it?
I think for the reason of, just like I mentioned with having some patients who are really, really deathly allergic to it, I think that it's, I think he feels that it's too strong and that in certain amounts it can be quite toxic. So I think the thought is, and I need to ask him, but if a lot is toxic, how much is good, So. And it does really come through the skin pretty quickly, right? You eat it and half an hour later, woohoo! What'd you have? So, okay, so homework for you guys. How about you all go ahead and jump online in the next week and post a new recipe. I'll try to do one too.
You could post your mushroom wrap recipe, Jessica. That was a good one.
How do you do it? How do you do it? Post it.
Oh, so when you go to the, but Jessica posted it, right? Wasn't that the one on? No, someone did something, lettuce wrap. If you go to the forum, there's a place that you click, and I know if I try to pull it up now, my computer's
How do you get the picture on? How do you put the picture in it?
I just upload it from my computer. I think there's a place where you can upload a photo. So I'll take a picture, I'll email it. I'm sure I do it 12 steps more than what I have to do. I'll take a picture with my phone, email it to myself, to my computer, download it to the computer, write the recipe, upload the picture. Yes, those of you who are under 30 can tell us there's a better way. All right, so recipes from you guys next week, okay? That'd be wonderful to see.
Thank you,
All
everybody.
right. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good day, Jessica L. She's just
Enjoy
starting
your-
her day.
Enjoy your meal, whatever it is,
Yes.
breakfast or dinner.
Good night, you
Good
guys.
night.
Night.